You could fit over 1 million Earths inside our sun. But you could squeeze over 1 billion suns into the absolutely gigantic star named Betelgeuse. No, not that Betelgeuse. This Betelgeuse is an unstable red supergiant that's rapidly pushing into its final fusion cycles before it detonates into an extremely violent supernova. You really wouldn't want to see this in our neighborhood. If Betelgeuse replaced our sun, it would swallow half of the solar system, and that's before it explodes. Would you survive? Well, it ain't looking so good for you, but let's find out. Scientists aren't really sure exactly how far Betelgeuse is from Earth. We know it's in our Milky Way galaxy, and we estimate it's between 550 to 700 light years away. We also don't know how big and how massive this star really is. That's because this giant is a pulsating mess that's too bright for our telescopes to see more precisely. We know it's between 14 and 20 times more massive than the Sun and up to 1,000 times larger in diameter. That's over 1 billion kilometers across. What we do know is that it's bright, hot, young, and explosive. As in, it's about to explode. Soon. Sometime in the next 100,000 years. It could happen in 10 years or 10,000. Or tomorrow. It could happen any day. So, what would happen if it explodes? Well, that's one of the most anticipated astronomical events in history. And scientists have been watching closely because lately, Betelgeuse has been acting weird. I mean, Betelgeuse has always been kinda weird. Because it's so close and so huge, it's one of the most studied stars in the sky. And we know it's a highly volatile star. We're talking shock waves and hot spots driven by these massive internal bubbles. Convection cells so big they'd swallow Earth's entire orbit. These convection cells disturb the surface and trigger violent shock waves. All that disturbance creates massive hotspots that make Betelgeuse go darker and brighter, pulsating in cycles that can last years. In 2019, it went through what many astronomers thought was a pre-supernova phase. It was the opening act before the star exploded, an event known as the Great Dimming. Yeah, this massive, super prominent star in our sky just went dark, down to a third of its usual brightness. Scientists eventually figured out that it was because it blew a great chunk of seething plasma into space. That chunk was 400 billion times the mass of the chunks our sun emits. When the dust cooled off, Betelgeuse blocked so much of its own light, we could hardly see the star anymore. That dimming was extraordinarily and highly violent. Kinda like blowing both your pecs off. So, yeah, Betelgeuse is ready to go boom. What will happen when it does? Well, if a star like that exploded in place tomorrow, it would light up our night sky. Even that far away, it would be as bright as a full moon, and it would be visible in full daylight. Betelgeuse is so big and red because it's burned through all of its hydrogen, which means it's burning helium now, and maybe even carbon. And once stars start doing that, well, they also start fusing heavier elements like neon and iron. When Betelgeuse's core is full of iron, nuclear fusion will stop. The core will cool and gravity will overwhelm the star. The core will collapse and the rest of the star will fall inwards towards the imploding core. In a split second, all that star matter will hit the superheated core and bounce off of it as a super violent shockwave. And boom, supernova.